So, 1985, there was a song that came out by a band called Mr. Mister, and the song was called Broken Wings. It was actually pretty successful back when it was released, and the only reason that I bring that up is because I had a lucid dream that happened to involve that particular song, that particular time, and the old house that I grew up in until I was maybe, I don't know, maybe 10. Pretty good sized home in a nice neighborhood. And my dream started out as I was sitting on the sidewalk at the end of the driveway. And the driveway was built really weird. In fact, my dad always complained about it, the way that they built the house, because the driveway had a pretty good incline. In fact, I could remember my parents had an 87 Camaro IROC Z, and in the wintertime, believe it or not, they drove it in the wintertime, but in the wintertime he would, have to get to the end of the block and get a hell of a running start and go up this driveway. That's how bad it was. But anyways, the dream, I was just basically sitting at the end of the driveway, and I had this little karaoke toy radio, and it had a little microphone, and I don't remember what brand or anything it was, but it was blue and gray. And a lot of the times the music that I heard back in those days, and keep in mind I was only 4, 3, in that area, a lot of the music that I heard back in those days came from a local radio station which always played the hits, the top music, and that seemed to be the most popular station in town, so that was the station we always listened to. So this song came on, and I specifically remember this song because I was sitting in my living room when it was released, and I can remember the DJ at the time was saying, this is the best song he's ever heard of the 80's, blah blah blah, and he was heavily promoting this as being a great song. And I remember sitting there listening to it with my dad, and my dad was kind of like, my dad was all into Pink Floyd, and I don't know if Billy Idol was out at the time, but that was another one of his favorites. But so he was more into the rock and roll rather than the 80s soft pop. And I remember at the end of the song, he just kind of, whatever, And so anyway, back to the dream, I was sitting on the sidewalk, and I had my little karaoke machine next to me, and this song came on. And my dad came out from the house, and I turned around and I looked at him, and it was as if I pictured him as clear as day almost 30 years ago. I mean, this was just weird. And he comes out and he says, you shouldn't be playing so close to the road, which is something that he used to always tell me, don't play so close to the road. And right then I became lucid. I don't know what it was that triggered it, but it was just suddenly, whoa. And I had this great feeling, I had this great overwhelming feeling that I could almost step back in time. And the first movie that popped in my head was Peggy Sue Got Married. I don't know why, it was just there. And I said to myself, wow, I could really live this out. Here I am, 3, 4 years old or whatever, and I could really make something out of this dream. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, don't try to wake yourself up, or don't try to stop waking yourself up, because that usually wakes you up. So I said to my dad, yeah, okay, that's fine. So I grabbed my karaoke machine and I started going up the driveway with my dad. My dad was always a tinker when it came to his truck. He had a 78 Silverado, and he was always messing around with it as far as drivetrain. And at the time before he moved, he swapped motors. He went from a small block to a big block, and I can remember most of that because I kind of helped him a little bit, and not that much, but I remember I stopped at the garage and I looked into the garage, and he was in the the truck, and he was trying to get the big block started. And it was like memories were pouring out of this dream. I mean, it really was, and I just kind of felt really good. And so I sat there for a second. I thought, okay, what do I want to do with this dream? I'm obviously in 1985, and what am I going to remember? I mean, I was thinking about that. I said, is this dream going to be accurate? What am I going to remember? So I proceeded to go to the front door and opened the door and went up the stairs. As you walk in the front door, stairs go down to the basement, stairs go up. And I went up, and I saw my sister on the floor. She could just barely walk. She would have been 1 at the time. And so it was weird, because I was sitting there, and I can barely remember my sister walking when she first started crawling and so on. But it was almost like I just felt really good that I could remember this kind of stuff, that it was all coming back to me, sort of. And she was playing with some kind of toy, I don't know what it was. And anyway, I went into the kitchen, and my mom was standing there, and my mom's changed a lot since back in those days. And she had much shorter hair back then, and I saw her with the shorter hair, and it was really becoming clear to me that everything that was going on in this dream was in fact from the 80s, back when I was 3 or 4 years old, and it was really, really cool. These are some of my earliest memories that I can possibly remember out of anything. And so I just kind of, and it was the height, today, my mom is pretty short, but I can remember I was looking up at my mom, and I just kind of tugged on her shirt, and I said, Mommy, I'm dreaming right now, but no, I'm really happy to see you like this. And she just kind of looks down at me, and she said something. For some reason I can't remember it, but she said something that kind of disappointed me, almost like these are faded memories, or you'll never have this back again, or something. I don't remember what it was, but I just kind of got disappointed, so I moved on, and I went into my bedroom. It was really cool because I saw my toy rack was on the left hand side, and I saw all the toys that I remember playing with as a young kid. In fact, some of them I still have for sentimental reasons. And it was really neat that I could see all these toys in this colored compartment, and I just wanted to sit there and play with them. And my bed, how it was exactly laid out, and then my guinea pigs. We had guinea pigs, and they were just kind of sitting there, and I ended up petting, one of them, which was really weird. And I looked out my back window, and I could see the houses that were next to us, and I'm just kind of exploring all this different stuff. Well, I thought to myself, where's all my friends of the time, friends who I haven't seen in 25 years. So I went back outside, and I went across the street to and I can't even remember their name. I know it was Jill, which was my sister's friend, and then there was another kid who was my age. And I can remember knocking on the door, and this lady came to the door who was in fact their mother, and I said to her I want to see the kids, and she said they're not home right now, but shouldn't you be at your own place? And I said, well, it's just a dream anyway. And she's just kind of, okay, whatever. So I went next door to the neighbors, and one of my best friends at the time, I found him, and I immediately said to him, this is just a dream, but it'd be kind of cool if we could play or whatever. And I was pretty young at the time, but he used to have it was a small air hockey table. It was a smaller one for kind of a kid's version. We went into the house, went downstairs, and I can remember the house exactly how it was. This is my friend's house back in the day. And we go down the stairs, and we're playing air hockey. And it was just weird because I'm looking at him like he's exactly how I remember him when I was that little. And we're playing air hockey and so on. And he stops for a second and he says, is there really a point to all this? And I said, no, I'm just kind of reliving my childhood memories right now. And he said, and this was weird, he said, well, I'm going to go relive some of my childhood memories because there's a lot of things that I wish I would have done, and now I'm not here to do them. So I just kind of said, okay, whatever. So he went back upstairs, and I'm kind of looking around this basement, and I can remember, it was weird because I could remember the storage boxes that they had, the writing on the storage boxes. I could remember all of that stuff, and it was weird because I went over there and I'm looking at all these boxes, and it was as if I could remember every single item that was on these boxes. They were all labeled, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and I could remember the smell of the basement because it had really kind of a humid smell to it. I could remember that smell. And without going into the dream lasted for quite a while. Needless to say, I ended up going through my childhood neighborhood, going from these homes that I haven't thought of in years, and visiting some of these places that I haven't been to in years, like the park. And it was just so weird because it was a sunny day, everything was like perfect, like it was back in the day. And I can even remember, I started remembering other things. I started remembering the fight that my dad got in with they were punk high schoolers at the time. They were water ballooning the neighborhood or something, and one of them drove right up to my dad and just nailed him right in the back. And he was chasing him down, and it was really funny because he's like, if I ever catch you here again, you think you can outrun my Camaro or whatever. I mean, those kind of things were starting to really pop into my head, and I was really starting to remember a lot of different stuff. And so anyway, I mean, there's so much more I could talk about with this dream, but I was literally reliving the memories. And what ended up waking me up in the end was my alarm because I had to go to work. And I was really, really disappointed because I wanted to continuously experience this. And if you go to my neighborhood now, I mean, I have within the last couple of years, it's completely different. I mean, nothing is the same. The houses, most of them have been, the siding has all been changed. They've been repainted, things like that. And it's nothing like what it was 25 years ago. And that's to be expected. So it wasn't as if I was making all this up in my head. I mean, I was really remembering everything. So that's cool. Let's end the dream there. It was lucid almost the whole time. I was really happy that I was having this dream, and I tried for weeks after that to have another one of these dreams, and I never did. And I was really disappointed that I could never do it. But so anyway, really, really cool dream, and I was really, really happy about that one.